Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another garden tour. We have a lot to harvest, so let's get right into the video. So starting over here, we have a lot of the tomatoes have ripened. So we have to pick a lot of these guys today. We had a really heavy rain last night, so a lot of them are going to split, which is a shame. So I'm gonna try to just snip them off with the top on. When it rains, you want to make sure that you pick your tomatoes beforehand, just because the amount of water that can come down in one fell swoop can actually cause your tomato to do some splitting and cracking, like this one right here. So this one actually just split as I popped it off the stem. This is super common when there's too much water in the fruit, and the flavor will be diluted a little bit. So I'm actually choosing to pull all of these off because we are going to have another rainstorm. But typically you want to make sure that you pull off your tomatoes in the afternoon heat when it's really hot, so that it can intensify this flavor of the cherries and your tomatoes. These are one of the things that you just don't pick early in the morning because their flavor intensifies with that sunlight. Alrighty, so we got a full basket, let's move on. So just over in here, we have some of the Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. So these are actually some of my favorites this year. They have this yellow look to them. I think this is actually not, I think this is the bumblebee colored one. Has a little bit of red to it. So we got another full basket. I have to show you the color on these guys because they're so beautiful. Love their red and orange hues on them. And they're super big and really delicious. Perfect for a salad. The Brad's Atomic Grape looks absolutely beautiful. And just back here we have some cracking on this sparkly tie-dye. So we want to make sure that we pick the tomatoes before enough water comes that it will encourage the cracking. So we got rid of the burrowing pest in here. So we're resetting this bed and getting it ready for the winter. Just behind me I have the noodle beans and the rattlesnake pole beans. They're doing fairly well. So I've kept these guys on to dry and they're almost ready to be picked so that I can use these for seed. But then look at all those beans. The peppers are looking beautiful. There's so many. This is the Tabasco plant that's doing really, really well. Jimmy Nardellos, and then the Serranos, there's a couple to be picked. I have a special recipe for these guys, so stay tuned. But the Tabascos look great. So we're gonna pick a whole bunch of these. I have this plywood down because I planted carrot seeds. And not many have germinated just yet. But they were just planted a couple days ago. So there's just to make sure that the carrot seeds stay in place. I put this giant mesh bag on our sunflower head to make sure that we can actually collect some seeds because the birds like to steal them. We planted a whole bunch of carrot seeds down in here. We will obviously need to thin these guys out, but for sure we will definitely get some carrots. And then back here, all these little guys are black barley, so I'm excited to see that. The basil's going to seed, so we're going to need to fix that. The lettuce and greens that we planted for the winter look really good. They're all starting to come up now. looks beautiful. A couple of these Kajari melons actually fell off the plant. So we have been collecting some of the dead zinnias. They unfortunately got wet last night, but they will dry out and then we will collect the seeds from them. The garden's looking like half full and half empty, which is kind of nice, but also I kind of want it more full. We're going to be pulling this corn out and replacing it with something. I'm not sure what yet. We'll figure that out. The melons are looking pretty good. They're kind of succumbing to a little bit of powdery mildew. It can happen at this point in the season. We've had really hot, humid weather and then rain here and there, so it's not the best. But the one over here looks a little bit better. So I'm hoping to keep the plants healthy until we can get these melons all ripe. So we moved the mint to a bigger pot because it just needed a little bit more space. We're gonna have to prune this guy down. So one of the peppers that I actually thought maybe I misplaced or didn't plant has actually come up and actually really started to fruit, and it's like the AJ something. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. I'll put it up on the screen for you, but they're actually starting to come up now. These guys are actually super sweet, so I'm very excited to see those. So over here I put some of my winter greens, spring rapini, beets, and some cabbages that have really short growing seasons. So I'm hoping to see more pop up soon, and we'll thin out what we can. So this watermelon plant is looking quite sad. We're going to have to pull it out soon. But it has one fruit on it that we can harvest it and hopefully get some fruit. But yeah, the garden is looking beautiful. She's just getting tired, that's all, which tends to happen at the end of August. Since I'm over here, I'm gonna pull off some of these guys. Oh, oops. So you don't want to do what I just did. You don't want to pull off the top. Try again. So the more that you pick these, the more of them that will turn red, because more of the energy is being directed to the rest of the fruit. So just in here I see a couple peppers that are ready. So that's another really pretty one. I see a couple more over here. It's a big one. Oh, it looks really good. So this one looks huge. These are going to be sweet, so they're very good for making meals out of. Some of these dark green ones we like to try to pick now, just because there's, oh, perfect. There's so many that the plant might have a hard time supporting all the fruit, which I'm starting to see now because it's actually starting to drop some fruit before it's ripe. Like, here's a good example. That's just because there's a lot of fruit on it. So we're just gonna pick as many as we, and then we'll figure out what to do with all these guys. Might need to freeze some, can some, do a whole bunch of different things with them. Very nice. So they start turning ripe from the bottom to the top. So this guy will turn red in a couple days. So this is our pepper haul right now. she came around and we need to pick some of these beans. There's so many that honestly, it's just getting too hot to do this video with my hair down. So I'm going to clip it up and we are going to grab some basil and some tomatoes because this garden has so much. So just back there's a whole bunch of ripe tomatoes, so I'm gonna go pick those. So this is what happens when there's too much water and the tomato splits. So I'll split all around. So the splitting on this tomato doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but you don't necessarily want it because obviously it's a blemish. It doesn't look too pretty. And it can rot your tomatoes and make them squishy. But this is actually what happens when a tomato gets too much water, too quickly, too fast. So I'm gonna quickly pick the rest of these tomatoes because I am running out of battery, so I have to be fast. So this is a cat face blossom. You can kind of see that this was made up of multiple tomatoes, and you can tell because it looks like multiple tomatoes. Like there's one, there's two, and there's three, and most of it is ripe, but this side is not. So I'll have to wait a couple of days to make sure that it completely ripens and that it will be perfect for eating. So there's another really beautiful tomato. It has a tiny bit of cracking at the top, but overall looks absolutely beautiful. These are the Brad's Atomic Grape and they look absolutely beautiful. So this is what happens when, unfortunately, the tomato is super ripe and there was obviously way too much water. You can still eat this is not a problem. At this point, I would prefer to have this in like a tomato sauce or something like that. We have some more Berkeley pink tie-dye. You can really see the pink and the green in there, and it's just beautiful coloring. So we got like a huge harvest of cherry tomatoes and a couple of these grape tomatoes. And we got this giant bowl full of these heirloom tomatoes. So I will definitely be using these in a recipe coming up soon. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this garden tour. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.